Just over 24 hours ago, the flag fell at the Spa. 24 hours at Spa-Francorchamps in real life. Just over 24 hours as well. Our mini British GT round 4 has started. And where does it take place? Of course, at Spa-Francorchamps. And again, like I said last time, as the real world came to an end, the virtual world is going to start with RCI in our mini British GT season right now. This is Les Stevenson currently trying to qualify for this 1 hour and 30 minute Spa race. And yes, Les Stevenson did used to race in Split 2 because Split 1 and Split 2 are now combined here today. I welcome you all to our 4th round here at RCI. My name is Dan van Zutphen, your lead commentator here today. Next to me is our beautiful Adam Reed, our co-commentator today. And behind the screens is of course our beautiful Stewie Hellman as our broadcaster. Adam, how are you doing?
Dan, good to be back on the broadcast. We're in for a superb evening, and I'm sure this has been the jewel in the calendar that a lot of drivers have been looking forward to driving. Of course, the 7 kilometer circuit is steeped in history. So fortunate to have it on our mini British GT. Of course, our season for 2026, the British GT calendar for next year is also being revealed. So have to see how we implement that for going on forward. But the main focus here is Spa-Francorchamps, and at the moment qualifying is happening. Let's see how it all pans out.
The moment qualifying is happening, and if you look at the right top of your screen, you can see that a little bit of drizzle is coming in 10 minutes and maybe even less. So within 10 minutes we will expect a little drizzle. After this, it's highly likely going to dry up, as in 30 minutes there is no rain expected. So the track temperature is 20 21 degrees currently, which is already relatively low. So every GT3 wants to have a lap on the board. Now, if you don't get a valid lap or not a good lap, you might set yourself down the order, at least maybe a little bit in the back. So rain is forecasted here today. Les Stevenson almost rounding up his lap. See if he can chuck it somewhere in the top.
You absolutely will be looking forward to, looking to do that. So let's see. So far, but he'll have to really try and work his way around Blanchard, which is exactly what he does. And then on toward the bus stop chicane, he slows the car down, gets it into first gear, tips the car. Of course, you're still continuously going uphill on the right and the left-hander. But then again, he still could rise up the climb, and then over the line he does go to provisional pole position. But of course, one of our very first cars out. If you haven't forgotten the format, it does look like the drivers will be having their first 10 minutes. Be our GT3s, and then the GT4s be going out for the final 10 minutes.
Stevenson currently doing very well. John Dalton, a driver that's relatively fast here in the Mini British GT series and had some good results in a couple of past races, and at least Les Stevenson is right in the mix. This is Nico Kumpu in P4, but Niels Engelhardt, the German driver, in his 992 Porsche is currently on provisional pole position, and everybody has to hurry because that rain is imminent. The rain is coming very soon. Niels Engelhardt also receiving a tow from a Porsche in front. That's the 621 Porsche that's howling in his Porsche. 1.3 seconds off the pace currently. Niels Engelhardt, see if he can retain that pole position, because, well, it might rain, like I said, in a couple of minutes. Cassingenga in the 911 Porsche in P2, and behind that it's our championship leader Diego Catalan in P3.
Sure. Engelhardt's currently now making his way down at the hill in towards a Pouhon corner. The German driver in the Porsche has been so competitive in these last couple of races, but just not quite managed to be able to fully grab the results that he wants. He's had one podium back at Silverstone, but that has been it for the German driver. But he'll be looking to take another one, but it's a very competitive group at the moment. With the way it is going, he could potentially take another victory.
Potentially, but it's Spa and it's a 1 hour 30 race, so everything can happen. This is John Dalton in his BMW 899. Again, he was competitive last race. To see if he can get a better lap time on the poor track temperature. Still 21 degrees, so nothing changed in that. Will John Dalton change his lap time? Yes, he does. Massive improvement by John Dalton there. 4:05 to the leaders. That's 4/10 away from the leader. He's the highest BMW classified so far, and I think Kumpu just went a bit fast as well. But Niels Engelhardt, and there is the rain, like we talked about, and that is a spin, ironically, from Niels Engelhardt, maybe caused by that rain. And so rain has hit Spa here in this qualifying session, and now the drivers need a miracle if they want a better lap time out of the car. And this probably also means, as we can see in the top right corner, there is even more rain as expected. The GT4s will have to qualify in the rain.
Oh, that's going to be massively interesting, especially with the setups that are going to be on those GT4s. The yellow up at the top of a Radeon, but this is kind of very similar to what we saw in the real life Spa 24 hours qualifying session, where we sensed the rain was coming, and eventually there was just that little bit, but it wasn't too much for the driver to handle. This one is full on rain here. We see Idris Partes over the timing beam. Where does he take his Lamborghini? It stays in 19th. It looks like, well, the 195, but I think that's going to be it, and we will see our drivers heading back to the pit lane, because there is not really much they can do at this moment in time. Is Engelhardt from Cassingenga, and then Kumpu, Catalan, and Badaus. 4 Porsches in the top 5 superb effort from the German manufacturer, because you see how many there are. You've also got Nico Fox there in P10, you've also got Riefer in P15, then Jake Howling there in P16. So many drivers, just absolutely everywhere.
This is the one and only race. Oh, as the Mercedes goes wide there, I think that's Carlos Calatayud, the Spaniard, in the number 30 Mercedes. But this, what I wanted to say, this is the very first and also the last race we will drive outside of the UK in our mini British GT season, like I think it's the case in the real British GT season. Again, Nico Kumpu sliding in pit lane, going to pit lane. As well, I mean, the timing board has almost finished for the GT3s to finish their lap times before the GT4s come out. So at least we have really no entertainment loss. Just 1.5 minutes until those GT4s can make their way out of pit lane. And yes, the GT4s won't have optimal grip. They're probably now all scrambling to their wet tires, maybe. Or maybe it's not wet enough yet to go for the dries. We'll have a look though, because in about 1 minute we will see the first GT4s leaving pit lane, as we see the only GT3 still driving on track, Carlos Calatayud.
He is, and I think he just maybe testing a little bit of a setup potentially is Calatayud, because of course the conditions might change in the race. Remember, we've got an hour and a half, 1 hour 30 minutes or 90 minutes, you could say, depending on whatever way you want to put it. But this will be good stuff for him, especially if he does potentially need that wet weather experience. As he goes into Bruxelles, you can just see the car understeering like crazy. It's almost like it has a 2014 Ferrari type chassis on this one, where it just understeers and oversteers at the same time, and loss of the rear in that GT3 Mercedes. And yeah, he'll be lining up on the 6th row of the grid, but he's kind of currently the only driver really getting any sort of rain data at this moment in time.
Maybe it will rain in the race, maybe it won't. We'll see. Last time out in qualifying anyway, it was our championship leader Diego Catalan who took pole position by just over a tenth, 1.5 tenths. He won pole position over the German driver of Tobias Sonntag, who I don't see in the timing board today. P11 actually, thank you, in the BMW. Thank you both. Nico Kumpu, it was in P3. Now Nico Kumpu is again in P3, qualifies just a tenth shy of Engelhardt, and it was at that time P4 for John Dalton in his fellow BMW. The GT4s are out on track. They scramble to get as much grip as possible, but given it's raining, that is not very well, that's not very easy. I want to say it's not very hard. It's not very easy to find any grip in the wet.
No, you're trying to search for the lines where you can find that amount of grip. Sometimes what drivers like to do, they like to try the outside line, which we call the karting line. So you try and find the outside of the outside of the corner to find the most grip. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But this is kind of the test that all our drivers are facing. Godova currently out there, and he's really trying to push those limits in the rebound racing KTM. We'll have to really see how he puts everything together, because he's had a pole position before all the way back into Donington Park, so he will be very much looking to potentially put himself in a good position. He had a podium last time out at Alton Park. But we'll have to see how it all comes together in this qualifying session, because this is a whole different kettle of fish.
Those who don't know it yet, and for those who have been with us for a short period of time, this is Raphael Hull. Just now we saw the timing boards. If you in the future look at the timing boards, you will see white numbers and silver numbers. The silver numbers is the silver category, which are all of the silver drivers. Again, those are added to split 1 here today, which means we will have 40 cars on the grid. We haven't had I think such an amount of cars since the start of the season. We started with, I think, 36 cars. We do have 40 cars here now, so that's always lovely to see. But again, split 2, split 1 mixed in together, and you can spot the split 2 with their silver numbers on the timing sheets. This is Rafael Hul, the first GT4 to go out for an actual lap. Highly likely the first GT4 to set a lap time on the board in drizzle conditions.
Yeah, no, of course these drivers won't get a lot of laps. Remember, you're very much looking over maybe 2.5 minutes at this rate in these GT4s. So, kind of all together, you will be able to get about 4 laps in, which is really not enough. And look at the likes going down that middle sector, because they won't get a lot of time either. They might even get only 2 laps to get a time on the board. I really don't know how this is all going to turn out. We'll just have to let the drivers do the business out on the circuit.
Yes, a good point you make there. It's indeed wet, so lap times take longer. Again, Rafael in P23 overall currently, again first GT4 to set a lap time. Now approaching no name corner, as we call it these days, and after no name corner you obviously get the double cars, which is very tricky, and Rafael Hul narrowly avoids the barrier as he has an insane amount of oversteer at the exit of no name corner, also known as speakers corners. There's a little bit of a debate what it currently officially is. I think it is speakers corners, but we refer it to as no name corner. Now Rafael Hul with that Porsche coming into that corner, into the right-hander, then to the left and onto campus. A very difficult corner, early braking here. Start from the outside, cut to the inside, classic corner there, and use as much curb on the left as you can, and then you need to be brave towards Stavelot, outside of Stavelot. If you don't turn in just at the right moment, you can either turn in too early or too late, and you can lose a lot of time out of Stavelot. Now coming towards the famous corner that's called Blanchimont. A break for those GT4s in these conditions, I think it is, and then you need to keep yourself within track limits at the exit of Blanchimont on to the bus stop. Very tricky corner. You can lose a lot of lap time, you can gain a lot of lap time outside, out on the exit of the bus stop. Rafael Hul coming over the line as the first GT4 here in this qualifying session. It's going to be a 2:38.9, so a very, very long lap time for the GT4s here in these conditions, but I think they are going to get just shy of 3 laps in.
Yep, that's exactly what we looked at. Here is championship leader Martin his Chevrolet Camaro as he heads his way now towards the line, trying to get a little bit of slipstream off the in front of him, which is a McLaren, and he goes overtime in being to put himself second in that GT4 class. So it will be mighty interesting to see how it all kind of pans out, but overall I think Martin Lorenk is doing the best he possibly can, and all he needs to do is put it on that front row, which will be so important. And it's been weird to watch, of course, it's been very strange to watch Martin Lorenk. His fine position of 3rd. He's never had a pole position. He's never been on the front row. But yeah, he goes on. He's gone on to win 3 out of the 4 races. In the other one, he got a 2nd place. So season for Martin Lorenk, and let's see if he can potentially hold this front row place on the grid.
If he can. Martin Lorenk currently in P24 going wide there. That's not the line you want to take, and his qualifying lap is probably invalidated as well. I thought I saw Gorman, so they're having an oversteer moment. Currently not. The Portuguese finding himself in, what is that, P1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My math isn't very good, so I have to do it while counting. The Portuguese getting overtaken by a Mercedes there. I think that's the Mercedes of Aaron Jackson. He is currently in a P4. Both Mercedeses on the grid, except for Matt Malcolm, finding themselves in P6, P7 respectively. Manso just got demoted to P8. The Scotsman of Matt Malcolm again in the Mercedes. Oh, we have of course, Riha in the other Mercedes as well. 4 Mercedeses. I'm not sure we had 4 Mercedeses, but I'll roll with it. Ramansa, the Portuguese, again in P29, trying to finish his second lap.
He is, and now look back to Raphael Hull in the Porsche Cayman car, clipping over the sausage curb there on the inside of the bus stop chicane. I think he tapped it a little bit too much, but to try and put himself on the front here, and he does so by going over the line and putting in a 2:39.810. So Raphael Hull putting in a fabulous lap there, putting himself into provisional pole position. He'll be looking to try and get back at his result of P6 and a DNF last time at Alton Park, so he'll be hoping to mend his time he had up in the north of the UK. Let's see if we can get a result out of Spa.
Indeed, see if he can. This is Richard Phillip, currently in P. That is 33 overall. I need to point out Wilkinson in the Ginetta GT4 coming from split 2, now in split 1, currently P4 on the grid, doing very well in these wet conditions as he's making his debut in split 1. Richard Phillips again, the Aston Martin driver, coming over the line. Is that an improvement for him? Yes, it is a 2:41, 2:39 for Lorenk so far. Starting one more lap. Let's see if he can take pole position. Like Adam said, he's never taken a pole position in this season yet, but maybe in the rain that can all change. It's Raphael Hull, who's currently still in P1. Dutch driver, see if he can maybe be a threat to pole position. It would be his best qualifying position of the race of the season so far.
Sure. And you know, these drivers are still trying to work the wheel around this Spa-Francorchamps circuit. We saw a little bit of opposite lock, and in fact an off track there for Martin Lorenk. Still trying to find that extra time, but he's not going to be doing that. So it looks like Joe Dorber has gone up to P3 there, so not Lorenk down to P4, and it looks like it's McLaren. It's going to be now Porsche from McLaren, from Ginetta, KTM and Chevrolet, because Mike Redford, who missed out on the Alton Park round, has gone and put himself onto provisional pole position. The checker flag is out now, and the 717 will come across the line, but that would be, looks like, this is ball with Martin Lorenk as he heads his way through. Really intrigued to see how this is all going to pan out, because of course these drivers have had the same conditions all throughout the session. It changed during that GT3 session, but that time it really went starting to where it comes into play here. Lorenk is still trying to get a little bit of slipstream of the KTM in front of him. That might be, I don't know if that's going to be Joe Dorber or not. I don't believe it is. Oh, that's now going to be a bit of a block here for Lorenk.
It must be Spoda Skrillex in the 200, or is there another KTM? We'll find out. Either way, Martin Lorenk over the line. Can he take pole position like he wants to? No, he doesn't. He does improve a position, if I'm not mistaken. P25 overall, P3. P4 now. It is for Martin Lorenk. Raphael Hull currently in P22. This is the GT4 standings. Raphael Hull in P2, Mike Redford in P2. Raphael in P1, Mike Redford in P2, Emma Plata in P3, and it's Martin Lorenk in P4, Joey Darbe in P5 in the current moment. But what can the Dutchman do in Belgium here at Spa as he comes through the last couple of corners? It is P3 now, but will it be P1 or a higher position for Emma Plata over the line? Over the line, it is pole position for the Dutchman. Raphael Hull will have no answer, but where is Mike Redford in the 95 McLaren there, coming through the last couple of corners, approaching the last couple of corners? He needs to keep it clean throughout. Blanchimont is 4 tenths up at the current moment, and that is enough to take pole position. 2 tenths away, just more than 2 tenths away. He will be a threat to pole position, but can he keep his speed up through the bus stop, through the exit of the bus stop, keeping it tight and pretty good? If if I say so myself. Mike Redford putting the traction down. Is it enough for pole position? It is not. He lost it all in the last couple of corners. P24 it is overall for Mike Redford, and that will be, if I'm correct, P3 overall. The GT3 standings then. Niels Engelhardt takes pole position in a wet Spa. It's Castaneda in P2, Kumpu in P3, just like last qualifying session. Diego Catalan in P4. I see a lot of purple sectors down the grid. Marco Badowski in P5, Dalton in P6, Daly with a best. Is that no? That's Honsel in P8 with a best middle sector. Tom Shipston followed by a best first sector. Incredible speeder at Spa, very close grid. Nicole Fox in P10, Sontag in P11. Followed by Kalatiut, Armstrong, Stevenson, Riff, and Howling. And then the GT4 standings we will get to in a short time. Emo Plata in P1, Hull in P2, Redford in P3, Lorik in P4, it's Dorber in P5, followed by Urs in P6, followed by Wilkinson, Arneke, Matt Malcolm in P9, Jackson in P10, Phillips, Sport de Skrillex, Riha in the Mercedes, Manso in P14, Trilby in P15, followed by Foster, followed by Wijnen, followed by Davy, and that is your grid for today's race, as we still have 4 minutes and 30 seconds to the start of the race. This is your mini British GT standings. Diego Catalan is your leader. I have absolutely no clue why we have half points. Nico Kumpu is in P2. It's Filip Breccia who is third in the championship. Marco Badowski is P4, followed by Niels Engelhardt with 48.5 points. Marcos Honsel behind that, just 1.5 points behind Niels Engelhardt, followed by Bridgman John Dalton, followed by Bridgman Tom Shipston. It is Tobias Sontag, the German driver, who takes P9, and then it's P10 for Casingena in P10 with 25 points to his name. To the rest of the grid, Lily Armstrong, round of the field in P11, round of the field is in P11. Jake Howling is in P12. Finds himself in P13 is Nicolas Kelle with 11 points to his name. The Spaniard Carlos Calatiut, not the season he hopes for so far, currently in P14. Nicole Fox with 4 points behind her name. It's Jordan Daly with 4 points. Konrad Jensen in P17, Andy Boardman in P18, Bruno Teixeira in P19, and Luke Cross in P20. They have a dash behind their name, which means they have signed out of the championship. On to the GT4 standings then. Adam, take it away. Adam isn't here. Martin Lorenk currently in P. Oh, he is here. Yeah, take it away.
Martin Lorenk tops the standings by 100 points, with Joe Dorber and Will Stevenson ahead of Mike Redford. Aaron Jackson will be in fifth, ahead of Jean Manceau and Richard Phillips, followed by Spoda Skrillex in the KTM, ahead of Emo Plata and Thibaut Roskam, rounding out the top 10. Then should be moving into the next one, and that'll be Ted Urs on 22 points, half a point ahead of Raphael Hull in 12th place, with looks like Furkan Hossman and Martin Foster, Eric Arneck and Matt Malcolm can follow in pursuit, with Lillian Sinclair on no points. Oscar Guerrera, Noah Ackerman, Joel Kelly signed out of the championship, and that rounds off our GT4 Pro class.
What a grid it is, what a grid it will be, as we have 40 cars lined up. We can see pole position here in the GT3 category. That is Engelhardt, followed by his teammate in P2. Behind that one is the McLaren. Behind that is our championship leader, Diego Catalan. We have a Porsche. We then see the BMW of John Dalton. And then we have the Aston Martin of, if I'm not mistaken, that must be Jordan Daly, who wasn't there last week, but is here this time. And then we have the BMW. That is the number... If I see it, yes, 35 BMW, as I thought. Tom Shipston in the Lexus, then Nicole Fox in her purple Porsche. We have another BMW with, I think, his teammate, because those liveries are quite similar. We then have Carlos Calatayud on your right hand side. Les Stevenson, championship leader in Split 2, finding himself competitive in Split 1 then, in the number 46 McLaren, doing well. We have the 79 Porsche just behind that, the 621 Porsche just behind that as well. It is the lone Ferrari of Andy Portman? I'm not so sure. Maybe that's a Split 2 Ferrari. We have another Aston Martin then. As this is the 195 Lamborghini. See, I'm just going to admit it, Adam. I'm really terrible, apparently, at guessing driver names by their liveries. It's Emo Plata in P71. And, well, the rest of the GT4 field, we have walked through it. Adam, as we see the Spa venue, it's a beautiful circuit. Have you ever been to it?
Not, but I do have plans, hopefully, maybe a couple of years in the future, to maybe attend an event or two. Definitely a location for a lot of motorsport addicts, or maybe obsessive fans. So definitely one for the bucket list.
Only one. I've been to it once for the Spa-24 in the 2023. Fun fact, it was actually at the Spa-24 why I sent my application to RCI TV, which I'm still very happily at. But every driver is making their outlap, it's driving their outlap currently, and making head for the first lap in this 1 hour and 30 minutes race, because like I explain every time, we have some changes in race format. We have had some 1 hour races. We have had 2 times 30-minute races. We have had 1 hour and 30-minute race. That race was at Silverstone. We will have yet again a 1 hour and 30-minute race. That is going to be here at, of course, Spa-Francorchamps. We will have another I think 2 times 30-minute race. Indeed, we will. We have a 2 times 30-minute race at Snetterton. We will have an hour race at Brands Hatch, and then we will have 1 more hour race at the track where we started at Donington Park. As everyone is rounding off their outlap, driving in their outlap, thinking about the strategies they will play in, of course, the race. The race, which is pretty long, 2 stops are mandatory here today, and see if that can cause for a little bit of chaos at Spa. But I think a Rouge is going to cost more, Adam.
Yeah, a Rouge definitely has a big opportunity to cause a bit of chaos at the start of this race. These drivers are going to be so fueled up for this race. It's going to get a little bit leery into that sequence of corners. It's just about trying to maintain everything around and being aware of your surroundings. So these drivers are very much going to be keeping themselves in play, hopefully, when the end of this race comes to a close, and hopefully we won't have too many incidents. But remember, it is an hour and a half. It is very, very hot in some places, very, very humid. Even us in the comms box, I'm sure we are starting to sweat buckets under our microphones. So hopefully our drivers are keeping themselves cool with a couple of fans close by. But this race is going to be very much heating up like the sun has the last couple of days.
Well, God bless me, because I am already through my 1 liter water bottle. But I can't drink too much water, of course. You could poison yourself with that. Don't do that. Although you have to stay hydrated, like Max Verstappen says, as the start is almost beginning. Remember, I said I didn't know why we had half points in the standings. Well, that is because we, of course, had 2 times 30-minute races, and in those 30-minute races, you get half points of every hour race. And at some point, you will then get a 0.5, a half a point. But the race is almost going to start. I say, Adam, please take it away.
Will absolutely do so. But of course, our drivers will be very much gearing up to take the race start. Here we have a look along the view banks of this race, and we now get to see this race get underway. It does look like this will not be our start, but I'll keep an eye on the lights.
It will be after the first turn.
It will be the second time in line, the 24 hours of Spa live. So it looks like even our broadcast camera has got a little bit confused with that. But you can see all the viewing areas around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit is absolutely mighty. Down in towards La Source they go. Now pick up the speed now, but of course they'll still be limited. It'll be the 2 SMS cars to go side by side. Is Engelhardt and Katanjana. We'll have to see how this turns out, and you see how ready they are. But we now go green flag. 90 minutes left on the clock, and we go racing here at Spa-Francorchamps. Niels Engelhardt will pursue with the lead. Look at Nico Kumpu climbing up the hill. There's already someone almost into the Armco barriers. Oh, there's been a touch round, and cars are spinning as well. We'll have to see if the 24s can survive, but yeah, not the most cleanest starts we've had to Spa-Francorchamps, but they'll carry their way down this long straight in towards the La Fania chicane. Couple of manoeuvres being made there on the inside. They continue to squeeze their way through. They'll file their way a little bit wide there on the exit for one of our cars, but you can just see how close it is. But then they'll start to strewn out just that little bit. For our GT4s, a little bit slower. Oh, I think there's a couple of things happening down at Bruxelles, and they'll head their way on towards the speaker's corner. It's still so tight there on this opening minute of this race, but we've still got a long way to go.
Horrible start there then for Jordan Daly, the yellow Aston Martin, who I think lost it or got in contact at Eau Rouge, although we've had messier starts. I referred to the GT4 start in the Spa 24-hour weekend. That was something of a messy start. It's in the 911 Porsche for Porsche team Schumishkins in P3. He fell down 1 position. It's Tom Watson, the other Aston Martin, the silver driver, currently in P14. It is the only pro driver with the silver drivers howling in P17 then. And Tom, let's see what he can do in his Aston Martin, as track temperature still is 22 degrees. We have 1 hour and 28 minutes left, while lap 1 is almost completed by most of the drivers. Maybe we'll have a fight here in Eau Rouge then for a couple of positions back. Seems to be all clean so far. Let's see, Pizza Racer getting tapped round by the Porsche of Ruffet. That must be the 79 Porsche then. Or was that the standing board hasn't quite updated yet? It's Howling currently in P15, moved his way up to the grid. Andy Boardman sending one down the inside. The Pizza Racer sending one down the inside likewise. They all survived so far, but we're going side by side, and I'm into Eau Rouge.
And we are indeed, and that looks to be Peter Lundqvist on the inside there of Andy Boardman. It is Italian manufacturer up against Italian manufacturer, and it's the Bulls that win out against the Prancing Horse. The Prancing Horse will have the legs to come back at that one. Meanwhile, looking back here, Mike Redford is on the back here of Emo Plata. Emo Plata having to take this as a home Grand Prix, home race for him, as he has to duck into second place there.
it now will be Mike Redford who will take P1 in this race. So important for him. There is a big chunk of points he can claw back on Martin Lorek if he can take this victory, but of course still a long way left to go in this race. And also the 2 mandatory stops that will have to be complied with everyone tonight. Oh man, we are in for an absolute cracker.
Mike Redford he had some good races in the second round, and this is a replay, I think, of Ibiza races. Andy Boardman getting a touch there, yes, getting a touch. That Ibiza racer in the wall when colliding with Andy Boardman, and that is not something you want to see as a BMW driver, or not as a driver at all. Being in the wall at Spa, basically destroying your race, but he is still driving on track. This is Nico Kumpu, seeing must be the 911 Porsche just behind, who has the better straight line speed. We'll see when we approach Eau Rouge, but for now it's Nico Kumpu with the fastest lap as well. I noticed that Nico Kumpu always sort of sets the fastest lap in the race. Maybe that's just coincidence. He is fast nonetheless. Again, Nico Kumpu currently in P2, getting chased down, but equally chasing down the lead.
On it, and while he's never taken a fastest lap by the end of the race, we can confirm that Nico Kumpu is a very fast driver. In fact, he did take the fastest lap, my apologies, at Alton Park in the second round, so very much flying away here, but he's trying to latch here onto Niels Engelhardt. Apologies for my microphone cutting out. It's still a work in progress. I think it's just a couple of technical difficulties that is having to be resolved in the long haul, but it looks like Cassie Jana is still having to try and fend off third. Meanwhile, Emo Platt is now starting to become the meat in the sandwich with the 3-car battle. You see there Martin Loreng trying to just come upon him now, and also Jordan Daly in the Aston Martin who got involved here. I think he was the one that got tapped around in the early stages, and there you can see him blasting past the two drivers batting in second and third. And that's now given Martin Loreng a slipstream as well, and through goes Daly just in front of Mike Redford, and you just see there now Martin Loreng going to take second place, and this is going to be a big old tussle for the race lead. Martin Loreng is on for his 5th win in 4 races.
Martin Loreng is always trying to chase down the lead like he normally does in these races. Never as a good qualifying, but in race pace he sometimes is dominant, and he is always fast. Martin Loreng is in the 171 Chevrolet. We have some Ginettas, but Ginetta seems to be falling down a little bit. We of course see pole sitter Emo Plata currently in P3, but he was pole and he no longer is pole now, as we still see the chase of Martin Loreng against Mike Redford. You can see the pace advantage Martin Loreng has over Mike Redford. I can just see it. The lines are taking. This is the battle for P3. Diego Catalan trying to get valuable championship points here. This is Catalan against that is the Porsche of the 911 Porsche, trying it around the outside. Ambitious, and he has the room there, but he gets squeezed off the track there, and so the Porsche of Marco Badowski in the 45 can maybe make his way into this fight again. It's going to be a 3-way fight for the 3rd spot here in this race. Beautiful to see.
It really is a sight to behold. It looks like Diego Catalan really trying to fight up at the front here. Needs to be very comfortable in his gap to the championship lead, because Nico Kumpu currently sits in second place, will be grabbing a good load of points here, but in toward the Lecombe chicane is still just not quite there for Diego Catalan, but he is smelling the exhaust fume of his Porsche teammate Kasinjana, but I think Badowski is also going to be having a look in here as well. Nico Kumpu really being the kind of the shark in the fish's tank, would be the odd one out in that case. 2, 5, and 6 McLaren currently in second place there. It's still chasing down Niels Engelhardt.
Platen in P24, overall in P3. In the GT4 class, our highest silver driver in the GT4 class is Richard Wilkinson in his Ginetta, currently driving in the number 6 Ginetta, P28 overall. This is Rafael Hull trying to fight us for a better top 5 spot, cutting it on the inside, doing a little switchback and just can't quite fit his nose in to the next. It is almost described as a hairpin. This having a little wiggle, as I think that's the KTM of Joey Darbe trying to chase down Rafael Hull as well. Approaching No Name Corner, exiting No Name Corner, Joey Darbe. Darbe doesn't seem to have the pace this race, not as greatly as good as he did last round. As we can see, the Ginetta of us going a little bit wider. Does that give Hull an opportunity to overtake coming into Lefort? It doesn't seem so. It doesn't seem like it. He has to wait his turn, and so this battle raging on for the GT4 category.
It is still absolutely spicy as ever now, and we now look down towards chicane, and this was a battle between a couple of cars, and a little bit of contact between two Porsche teammates in that one. It seemed like the two manufacturer teammates. Now Diego Catalan has got a massive run on John Sebastian Casanega, and I wonder if he'll be able to squeeze through on this one, but I think he's had a little bit of a wiggle up Radion. Doesn't seem like he's got the position. Meanwhile, Nico Kumpu is putting Niels Engelhardt under pressure, and the Finnish driver really trying to work this steering wheel here. Just not quite got the position or just matching Niels Engelhardt there, but that gap has very much come down. It's just a case of where will that move be made for Nico Kumpu. I think it's coming very, very soon.
Cornering speed seems definitely decent for that McLaren. Perhaps as I say that, Nico Kumpu goes a bit wide. I'm so sorry for the commentator's curse. Could have been worse, though, I admit it. Nico Kumpu still in P2 then, in what is the only McLaren, the only pro McLaren in the grid. Les Stevenson currently driving in P12. He is a McLaren, but he's a silver McLaren. He normally drives in Split 2, currently doing well in P12. You know, credit where credit is due. This is a contact between Joey Darbe. He loses the car. Joey Darbe loses the car. His KTM goes into the wall after contact with Rafael Hull, trying to send it down the inside. What has happened here? Maybe a little bit. I think that's described as a racing incident, but Joey Darbe just losing it then on exit, on traction there, and finding himself in the wall. Not ideal for Joey Darbe. Carlos Galatius trying to attack a Porsche and hitting a Porsche in the process. As I think it's Tobias Sonntag, the German driver, now trying to chase down Carlos Galatius. It's all popping off here at Spa. Oh, that's almost Carlos Galatius again running into the back of that Porsche as that same Porsche goes wide. It's absolutely madness here at Spa.
It is absolutely incredible stuff, and they're still side by side. And Carlos Galatius having a look at there at I believe the Lily Armstrong it was, and it looks like the BMW there. Tobias Sonntag now wants a little piece of the action as he now moves slightly toward the right hand side there. Oh, there's a little squeeze there from Lily Armstrong, but hard on the brake. The BMW will have a look there side by side, and look at that. Carlos Galatius still in that as well. Slight touchings there, but it looks like it will be. I believe that will. In that number 18 Porsche to keeping her position firmly grasp.
I read in the comments that it's quite an archy-barchy race so far. I mean, we definitely have seen worse, but you know, they say Rubbing is racing, as they say. Lily Armstrong doing very well then in P8 in her Porsche, in the number 88 Porsche. And you wouldn't say it, but we've only driven not even 15 minutes and so much has happened already. Everybody is absolutely at the limit here at Spa, and everybody is also very close at Spa. You don't get this kind of racing when no one is competitive, when no one is close, but certainly almost everyone seems to be competitive here. Tobias Sonntag in P9 and in his BMW trying to chase down another German manufacturer. Lily Armstrong then needing to defend. Does she defend? She doesn't. And look at the BMW just having the sheer straight line speed on the inside of Blanche. But now there's a touch there, and Lily Armstrong into the wall, and hopefully she doesn't have too much damage, but that will definitely go to the lives to it, because we have those. And Andy Boardman sliding coming out of that is Blanchimont on the outside, getting a bit of contact and needing to, oh look at that, almost lost the car at the exit of Blanchimont. It's all kicking off here again at Spa-Francorchamps.
I think it's just drivers not their competitors are, so it's yeah, not an ideal scenario in that case for some of those drivers. Look at Martin Lorek and how aggressive he is behind the rear wing of Mike Redford, and that's Carlos Colatiud round. Carlos Colatiud, he got a bump from the rear, or was it a bump from the front? It's a bump from the rear from the 314, and that's going to be so disappointing there. I think that was not entirely sure which driver that was. Oh my goodness me, that was very it was Nicole Fox indeed there, and there was also Les Stevenson siding on by. But continuing with our Lorenk is in a really top spot here.
Definitely so, as he's still trying to chase down the McLaren, but it is easier said than done. Just behind those two is Emmo Plata, again our pole sitter, first pole position then in this in a qualifying session for the Dutchman, doing really well given where he is standing in the standings. And this is again the battle for the GT4. Track temperature is 22 degrees. No rain is expected for the race. Of course, in qualifying we did see a wet qualifying. It started as a wet qualifying and then dried out and proceeded to become a somewhat dry qualifying, but drivers no needing to take any actions regarding wet weather. This is a beautiful battle for P1 then in this race as Niels defense coming into the bus stop. Is it then the McLaren of Nico Kumbu make the move, stick under braking around the outside, getting a little touch there by Niels Engela, but that's a beautiful move there by Nico Kumbu, overtaking the leader all around the outside, and we're going almost C-wide then into the first corner, and there's this Porsche, oh, that's the Porsche of the 911 Casingena, then going completely off, completely missing his brake marker.
I think, yeah, he completely missed the braking point, and then once he realised he was stopping, I think just found himself on the grass, saw the flicks of dust come up, and that just implies you've got very little braking on that, braking pressure on that, because of course once again the grass is slippery as ever, and unfortunately just could not get anything in the brake pedals. Interesting to see that Jordan Daly is into the pit lane for the GT3s, so he's potentially making an early stop. But look there, up at the top right of your screen, you're seeing the track map. Look how close we are starting to get to those GT4 cars, because we are now in a very interesting situation. This was Tom Shipston. He had a bit of a moment through one of the corners. I wonder, it might have been one of those slightly wide moments. It does seem like so. But continuing back on with the race, and this is Raphael Hill up against Ted Urs, by side into Blanchimont.
Side by side into Blanchimont. This is a very brave start from the Ginetta driver. Wilkinson used to be a split 2 driver, now going toe to toe with split 1 drivers. Raphael Hill needing to fend off the split 2 Ginetta driver. But currently, doesn't seem like it. Doesn't seem like a split two driver, or is that's actually us in the beautiful livery with a smiley? So the timing port sort of confused me there. Have to keep my eyes on the livery. Then Rafael Hull fighting Ted Earth there. Then in the 48 net, they go side by side into Orush. Surely this can't go well. Surely they won't go side by side, but they do go side by side. And look at the silver driver of Ted Earth, maybe making it 3 wide, needing to wait on Rafael Hull. But the momentum loss is for Ted Earth, who will lose some positions, or well, one position. But can the silver driver of Ted Earth now capitalize on the momentum loss of Rafael Hull on the outside? Then is he brave enough? Can he stick the move? No, he can't. He needs to take avoiding action as well, cutting the corner there as Ted Earth, of all that chaos, of all that side-by-side battling, loses 1 place.
Yep, still some very good driving there. Now we're seeing, I think that's going to be Diego Catalan. It seems like now on the back of one of our drivers. That's one of our Dutch drivers. That's one of the BMWs taking a half spin into the barriers there on the right hand side. The tyre barriers, which have got a little bit of a softer cushion, so not too much damage, it seems like, on the BMW. Just pride, it seemed like. And now he starts to get moving, but just in front of one of our GT3 drivers, so not the most ideal spot.
And then in the 251, he's going to get traffic. This is Martin Loring then in the number 21 Chevrolet. And he's going to be chased by Emmo Plaat. He is being chased by Emmo Plaat. He thinks about it into Blanchimont. He wants to make himself aware in the mirrors of Martin Loring. I am still there. I may MP3 now, but I'm going to come and get that second place in the GT4 category, as Mike Redford is going into pit lane. We've only had 20 minutes, and now already the leader in the GT4 is going into pit lane. This is a very I think a strategy we will probably won't see again. But a GT4 now going into pit lane is maybe to avoid GT3s earlier on, but who knows? Who am I to tell? Martin Loring then takes over the lead of Mike Redford and currently being chased by Emmo Plaat.
Yeah, it seems like we've gone back to one of our screensavers, unfortunately. There, we'll have a look to see if anything is happening. See if there's potentially a server issue. Yeah, we do have a server issue. Well, an issue for our director. It seems like so. We'll just have to talk about this minute. And yeah, kind of have a little bit of a podcast mid-race there. But there's been so much happening in these early stages. How do you think? How do you think the drivers will be feeling, especially with all the action that's happened?
We're already back on the action then. So a mini podcast session, no needed here at Spa-Francorchamps. This is Andrew Riff in currently P9, P11 overall. If the Delta does its work, trying to chase down Les Stevens. So this is the battle for the split 2 victory, for the silver victory, and not overall through Andrew Riffle. Then on the inside, making the move complete, overtaking Les Stevens, your current championship leader in the silver category, and Andrew Riffle, I'm so sorry, taking over that lead and moving up 1 spot in not only the silver category but also overall. So it's currently P1 for Andrew Riff in the silver category and P9 overall. Doing a very good job in general these first 3 silver GT3s. And this is Nico Kumpu, your current leader. That means that that doesn't mean anything, because Nico Kumpu was already leading. If my mind is correct, it's Mike Redford who pitted and not a GT3 leader. Nico Kumpu leading the race, chased down by our championship leader Diego Catalan.
Absolutely is, and there is still Force now come into play here for the likes of Nico Kumpu and then Diego Catalan. I'll have to start playing around with these GT4s. 6.5 tenths is the gap. Kumpu and Catalan, but now Nico Kumpu is coming into the pit lane, so I wonder if the Finnish driver now just thinks it's time to make my pit stop. There's the Aston Martin, there's the McLaren, there's a Mercedes as well, so it looks like the GT4s are very much stacking up for now. It'll be very, very intriguing to see how that McLaren exits the pit lane, because he's right at the back of this GT3 class, an early boxer for himself, but amongst the GT4s, that must be a very, very difficult position to get out of.
This is very interesting, because what he's obviously trying to do is trying to avoid any more GT4s coming his way. We see Peter Lundqvist now lapping GT4s, but if you look at the right at the circuit map, you can see the leader needs to lap quite some more GT4s. You could, argue, which is a very good argument. Didn't Nico Kumpu need to pit any earlier to avoid all of the GT3s? But then you run the risk that you pit too early. So it's all a strategy. It's really a game of chess here that we're seeing with the strategies. Diego Catalan staying out and thus taking over the lead. It's Niels Engelhardt, who was our pole sitter, now in P2, and then we find P3 is for John Dalton, kind of in the John Dalton zone, not completely in the John Dalton zone, but he is getting there. Anyways, it's Diego Catalan now your new leader of the race.
And of course we'll retake that lead. We see a replay here of Erik Arneck and down in towards Pouhon corner. There seems to be a bit of contact between two drivers. And, yeah, looks like the Mercedes there to sideways. It looks like that was Jordan Daly also appearing on the scene, so he had a bit of a hilarious moment. But Nico Kumpu now out of the pit lane here. He'll be chasing down the GT4s immediately, has one ahead of him. I believe that is going to be Aaron Jackson. So sorry, my apology. Maybe Aaron Jackson. It'll be one of our Aston Martins. So that will be a simple overtake there for Kumpu, and he'll have to just continue to just push on now. And it looks like he's taking a very, very long stop. So we'll have to see how it all kind of works out. Jordan Daly starting to make his way through some of the GT4s as well. So a lot of traffic for the Aston Martin GT3 driver. But I think at the moment in time, all of our drivers, their mentality is just to keep in the rhythm for now and just go via the strategy. It looks like thirdly down in our split 2 GT4 class, a 5-second time penalty for the Alpine, the sole Alpine for tonight. Yeah, I wonder how that's going to all pan out.
Jordan Daly finding himself between what is now virtually, provisionally, P3, P4 on the grid. Jordan Daly in front of him is John Dalton. Just behind him is the 911 Porsche. So when will Jordan Daly let that Porsche by? Not this time, and that Porsche in what is I think currently P4 will be pretty frustrated. This is indeed Jordan Daly guessing Ena currently in P4 overall. Yes, indeed. Then it's John Dalton in P3 provisionally, but Jordan Daly finding himself just between those drivers, maybe proving I do have the speed, even though I crashed, and now continuing his race after that crash in the Rouge. I'm not sure how much damage he has, but maybe we'll find that out later.
Well, and just continuing to have a look on the race. Those strategies very much becoming part of the race, and now getting into that state where our drivers are now starting to really relax and get into that driving zone. They're already laser focused on what's ahead, but of course they can't relax too much because there's still so much around the road. If you're a GT4, you're still looking at potentially other GT4 battles. You've got to look behind you as well, and going for GT3, yeah, you've got to have a look at the GT4s ahead as well as the cars you're battling. Ted Urs has a blue flag as well. You can see that on his mini dash because there's a GT3 absolutely thundering up to his rear end. Oh my goodness me. And Just wonder, I think that I'm not entirely sure who the number on the way through the chicane. It doesn't look like I can do that. 79, I believe.
Yes, I think it was the 79 indeed. This is Martin Lorenk. He was your provisional leader, and this is Emo Plate, provisional P2. But Mike Redford was one of the earliest stoppers here then in his McLaren GT4, and he's a long of the actual start-finish line. So I'm wondering where Mike Redford will be, but he's avoided the GT3 traffic, of course, which Martin Lorenk and Emo Plate haven't. So maybe he has gained a little bit of time. There is a GT3 just right behind him, but he will go through no problem on the straights then. Before we find out where Mike Redford will be at start finish, we do have some penalties coming in for you. We've had a 5-second time penalty for car 296 overtaking off the track. We then had a 10-second time penalty again for the 296 for avoidable contact, and we had a 5-second penalty for car 876, and all of the other reports are warnings, avoidable contacts and hard racing. Then Mike Redford, where will he come out? Will he come out ahead as the provisional leader then in the GT4 category? Where are the other drivers coming out of Eau Rouge? There is Martin Lorenk exiting Eau Rouge. There is Emo Plate exiting Eau Rouge. And Mike Redford is surely not going to retain that lead. Maybe, just maybe, overtaking Emo Plate because he has the momentum there. And there they are. There he is overtaking Emo Plate, but he couldn't overtake Martin Lorenk, and thus he loses that provisional P1 spot in the GT4 category, Adam.
Just too much pace there for the Czech driver, and he will just continue on his way. I think that just showed the pace that Martin Lorenk has. You know, it is absolutely mighty, the pace that he has in that Chevrolet. You know, I saw that car right at the beginning of Donington. I was like, how is that going to fare amongst the grid? It's completely different. The only other driver that is currently running it is Thibaut Roscam, and he has not competed the last couple of rounds. We have just ticked under an hour as well, so 30 minutes into this race, we've still got another quarter of this race as well to Marcus Honsel, who's now having to look behind him with Nicole Fox. That battle is for 14. Honsel still keep it defensive. You'll hope for a little bit better, but the BMW to the Spa-Francorchamps circuit.
Lee Armstrong, then is it Lee? No, it says Nicole Fox. Is the other female in on the grid. Marcus Honsel in P14. Is that Nicole Fox in P15? Nicole Fox trying to chase down that P14, of course, with like Adam said, just under an hour to go. Track temperature is 21 degrees, so it has gone down a little bit. But Marcus Honsel for now just looking rear view mirrors. This is Joey Tarber trying to climb up to the grid, or up the grid. Again, it's not a great round for Joey Tarber, not like we used to. Normally Joey Tarber, as he maybe goes for a move in speakers corners, no he doesn't, but that Ginetta of Ted Hurst is coming oh so close, but Joey Tarber not having the best of rounds here, at least not for himself, I'm sure, but currently driving in P24 overall. Then the GT4 driver is see if he can make up a position then, as we see some GT3 lapping further up ahead.
Yeah, Joe Darber has had the best results so far. 4th and then 6th at Donington and Silverstone, and then a 9th and 2nd place at Alton Park. So two very dissimilar rounds. He's having a look there at Ted see if he can take 3rd place away from the Ginetta, but the KTM just seems to be through the corners. I feel that the 777 just is matching Urs, but he's not finding a place where he can definite get the move. So that is, I think, where he's trying to potentially find a gap here with Darba, as needs to just find that open door. Will he do it down towards the bus stop chicane? Maybe use the element of surprise there, because he's right behind Tails. Looks as offensive. They head their way into the bus stop chicane, and it looks like now looks like Darba would just sit in behind as Niels Engelhardt is into the pit lane.
DT is driving in. Well, he was driving. Was he in the lead? I think provisionally he was. Yes. No, he wasn't actually. I get corrected there. John Dalton was provisionally in the lead. I said provisionally because Nico Kumpu is currently provisionally a P1, which means John Dalton is P1 on track, not provisionally. Always nice to try and let everything make sense here at Spa. Nico Kumpu with the fastest lap as well, currently in P6. Whiffle also in pit lane, the silver driver, currently apparently P5 overall. Nico Kumpu will of course overtake Niels Engelhardt. I say of course, but Nico Kumpu is so far ahead. Yeah, he must take that P1 over from John, from Niels Engelhardt, at least overtake Niels Engelhardt by a mile on track then, as he flies down the Camel Straight. This is Marco Badowski closing in on Nico Kumpu, definitely, and also overtaking Diego Catalan in the process.
You're right on that one, and Engelhardt will just have to push on here. So it's currently Kumpu from Badowski with Catalan, and then Engelhardt with Castellega just there in fifth place. So again, it looks like second down to fifth is currently all filled up with Porsches. So we jump Dalton, Catalan, and then Peter Lundqvist from from us. Split two is the right word on that one, for the Swedish driver, but overall they're just trying to look for more opportunities. They can eke out the tyres, eke out the fuel, as John Dalton is also in the pit lane, as well as Carlos Calatiu in the Mercedes. And the Brits and the Spaniard respectively will both be in. Will that be the same story for Peter Lundqvist? I'm not entirely sure, because we're now looking back at Joe Dorber and Ted Urs round two.
Is Ted Urs coming in pit lane, so he won't make the life any more difficult for Joey Darbaden in his KTM GT4, as this is provisionally leading Mike Redford in P26 overall. P1, I'm completely wrong, because Martin Lorek, of course, he took over the lead in the GT4 category. Martin Lorek currently not the dominant isn't the right word, but he is slowly getting there. 2.2 seconds away from Mike Redford. And Mike Redford, of course, trying to chase down Martin Lorek, as my water bottle is empty and I really need to go and fill it in this hot tub which is here in the Netherlands.
I'll take over then. Mike Redford still carrying on there, but of course he's made a pit stop in the GT4 category. Darba has not, Arnek has not, Pool is in already, Ed Urs is in already. It's only now Marcin Lorek who is now the net leader, but that gap is now up to 4.2 seconds between the two championship contenders, with the Czech driver now starting to and a bit of a rhythm for sure. That gap starting to open up. Is it as well? But will this gap close? Well, I'm not sure. You know, there's not many times where you, as a GT4, you can latch onto onto the leader, especially knowing how fast Marcin Lorek is. I think Mike Redford will just have to rely on a mistake here from Martin Lorek, but what type of mistake will cost him about 4 seconds? Yellow flag in the Lecombe chicane, it seems like. Joe Darba now with a 5-second time penalty. Nicole Fox with 10 seconds. That's just a bit on the relative, and that's probably why, because
Oh no.
Fox facing potentially the wrong way. We'll have a look at a replay, and it looks like, oh dear, that's Nico Fox facing the wrong way. He maybe entered the circuit completely terribly. No, I think just a simple rotation from the German driver in the Porsche. But, oh, that was the Corvette there in the background having a big old snapper at the rear end as Nico Fox dives down into Paul. Peter Lundqvist actually still out there, not making his first of 2 stops. So I think he's burning the majority of his fuel, and then he'll maybe do 2 stops in this space of about 25 minutes. So now we look back to 7th place here, Jean-Sebastian Casangena, as you now have a look, and looks like Diego Catalan taking the fastest lap of this race has been absolutely mandatory, because he's now got Martin Badowski in front of him, his manufacturer teammate. But let's have a look at the battle here for the next 4th place between Engelhardt and Dalton and Casangena. And I think it's going to be a very tough one. It's just about eking out an advantage. Do we have Dan back here?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Indeed, beautiful battle here for those spots. Diego Catalan trying to overtake Marco Badowski there. Marco Badowski not making his life very difficult, and so Diego Catalan can go on further to chase down the leaders of this race. Peter Lundqvist still needs to pit. Nico Kumpu doesn't need to pit. Very interesting, because Diego Catalan has now sort of found his pace in the race very late. This is not what I expected at all, but we will maybe have a fight for the lead then in some future laps, because the gap is coming down, and see if Marco Badowski can hang on with the Spaniard in the 75 Porsche. We have had then some more race reports incoming, some more penalties. We have a 10-second penalty for car 314 for avoidable contact, a 5-second penalty for car 296 yet again for overtake with contact. Then we had another 5-second time penalty for car 777, so the 777 car receives a 5-second penalty, and the rest is minor contact, overtake with contact, etc, etc, etc. So those were the penalties coming in, and one of those penalties also Joey Darber. I said it before, Joey Darber not having the best of races. Well, it just gotten worse, as I think there was Joey Darber coming in pit lane. This is then the 911 Porsche trying to overtake the BMW. John Dalton not being in the Dalton zone so far, and needing to fend off another German manufacturer.
Sure, down in towards the La Source hairpin, and it looks like the 911 Porsche very much pushing forward here to try and see if we can potentially go past John Dalton. Still no pit stop here by Peter Lundqvist. So I wonder if the Lamborghini realised they need to be making a stop at some point. We now stay on board here with the Porsche, who looks like he has the extra horses on the BMW as he streamlines his way through on Dalton in the 899 BMW. Down into towards the Lecombe chicane, better on the brakes, the rear side to step out there, but that's just how on the limit he is for the moment in time. Carrying his speed down into towards Blue Shell. So Casangena, I think, has a really good momentum about it. He's very much on the limit. He's pushing very keep that Porsche in control, which is the main thing. He might be grabbing onto the back of Niels Engelhardt at some point, and that will be important, because that will be the battle for the overall podium in GT3 here. So we'll very much be keeping an eye on those two for sure. I think Engelhardt might have a little bit in the upper hand in the pace department, but what can Casangena bring to the table? We'll have to see. And also John Dalton, don't forget him now. He gets to follow the lines of the Porsche in front of him. In this GT3 battle, you have to be right on your limits. It looks like Joe Dorber
Yeah, indeed,
Final stop of the race. And I was just going to round that off by saying
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
probably going to get a water refill as well. So, so Dan,
Very
take over
well.
for a little bit.
Very well. Gassengena, again, the Frenchman now needing to look in his rear view mirrors, taking a bit of a defensive line there then to John Dalton, and that is not something you want to see if you're Gassengena, because you just want to get your head down and go and race towards your teammate, because he is racing in P5 in the moment. So Niels Engelhardt had great qualifying pace. Gassengena had great qualifying pace, but in the race it's a bit less. This is a race replay. Peter Ljungqvist, who was in the lead, losing control. Then, question mark, maybe it was contact, but Peter Ljungqvist losing the car while exiting a Rouge. No damage, luckily for Peter Ljungqvist, but he will lose a lot of time nonetheless. And that is almost, it could be a race destroying moment nonetheless, because you could easily lose up to 15 seconds, especially in such a in such a fast part of the track. So that's going to be very much damaging to the race of Peter Ljungqvist, who still has to make 2 pits of more. John Dalton in P7 again, trying to chase down Gassengena like we saw just a lap ago. It is Riffer. I sort of say Riffer all the time. I'm so sorry. It's Riffer currently in P10, your highest provisional silver class GT3 driver. Yeah, the 79 doing a fantastic job, trying to get his car up to the top 10 spots. Then it's Les Stevenson after that. A Riffer actually, because he of course overtook Les Stevenson, and I hadn't realized he's that far up ahead. A Riffer doing an absolutely amazing job, like I said, but he's so much ahead of Les Stevenson. This is unheard of, especially because Les Stevenson is your championship leader. Now, John Dalton for nearly on pace racing, choosing the outside line of the bus stop, just braking early enough to avoid contact with the Porsche in front of him, but they're slowly getting closer to that other Porsche of Niels Engelhardt. So provisionally, it is Nico Kumpu leading the race. McLaren followed by 4 other Porsches, 3 wide, and for the GT4 it's going to be side by side into, oh, it's an awful contact. That's awful contact between Manso. Is that Mike? No, that's actually a GT3. That's Peter Ljungqvist. Who is the BMW? That is Manso. Did he cause the contact? I couldn't quite see it. Peter Ljungqvist, his race going from bad to worse. But what is happening here in GT4 field? Absolute madness here. As we see a race replay, sits Erik Arneke in the Mercedes, and who causes all the chaos, pushes Manso, pushes the Aston Martin, which pushes the Lamborghini of Peter Ljungqvist, and absolutely insane. And there must be a penalty going towards that German driver, towards that German Mercedes of Erik Arneke, surely, because that's some unacceptable driving. Then John Dalton in P7, followed again, still following that 911 or Porsche, as they all try and make their way around those GT4s. That is the GT4 Mercedes of, and I can't quite see, that's the 193 Mercedes anyway. But this group still bringing us the entertainment so far.
Yes, and there's been so much battling going on. Yeah, a little bit of silly stuff there in that GT4 battle. Race is still just etching on, and for the drivers, it's kind of a case of a mentality challenge at the time. You're right in the middle of the race, there's still plenty of time to go. Just trying to hold on, in the cars in front, they're just there. Something like John Dalton, you got the Porsche just in front of him, but he just can't seem to get it. Meanwhile, look at Diego Catalan. He's now fighting with Nico Kumpu. So this is the lead of the GT3 field here. And now Diego Catalan is side by side with Nico Kumpu and down into towards Rouge and Radion. I wonder who's going to edge out in front of this one. I think Diego Catalan might just have the edge here because he managed to get the best exit out of the corner, now having to pass some of our GT4s. So I thought it was a bit of a run there going, but it looks like Kumpu has found a hole in the thread to stick his needle through, and finds a way without damaging too many GT4s. But look at how close they're getting. Now we're turning towards the Lincoln chicane. This is starting to get very, very feisty indeed. They're still side by side. The door banging, in fact, touring car style. They're very familiar with that if you watch the British Touring Car Championship, but we're not very familiar when it comes to GT3 racing. They're usually quite a little bit nicer than that. But Dalton and Cassin Yeager kind of say, yeah, we're not going to go like that. And this is Matt Malcolm. He was found in the pit lane. Because he's kind of big old off here. Smack the barrier, and I think he's decided to call that a day.
That must be, I mean, unless we didn't see what happened beforehand, because it just seemed that his suspension on maybe the left completely died on him, because he almost couldn't steer right there. Very unfortunate there for the Scotsman, who did well in round one, but can't really find the pace anymore in the future round. Such a shame. This is John Dalton, currently in P6, followed by Casingena in P5 in the 911 Porsche yet again, as Nico Kumpu has taken over the lead. Peter Lundqvist has either pitted or he has dropped so much down the field because of those incidents that he doesn't take part anymore. John Dalton having a little bit of a look down towards the inside there, also needing to lap a GT4 there. And Jean-Sebastian Casingena currently in P4, Diego Catalan in P2, fight for the lead because they are only 1/10 apart. Where will this fight go? Our championship leader chasing down the Nico Kumpu, the current leader in this race. Then this is the fight for the lead in this race. He shifted. Diego Catalan in P1, trying it around the outside and also succeeding around the outside of the first corner of La Source at Spa-Francorchamps, and completing the move before they go into Eau Rouge, and then of course on to Radillon. But Diego Catalan getting that move done, and see maybe if Nico Kumpu got him back, and he's now behind a GT4, and he will lose a lot of time behind that GT4. But Diego Catalan currently in P1, maybe, just maybe, he could have succeeded that move, because he has the best sim racing gloves provided by our beautiful partners, by Raceway. This is able. No, this is Jean-Sebastian Casingena losing control of the car, just as I wanted to talk about our partners. The 911 Porsche into the wall and destroying his race. Is he then going to continue? And he's standing still. And he's just standing still. I think he's done. I think Jean-Sebastian Casingena, he is done for today. Nicole Fox in P15, and I wanted to thank our beautiful partners, and maybe our current P1 makes use of our IMB Raceware. Our beautiful partners at IMB Raceware provide the best sim racing wear, sim racing gloves, you name it. Truly in a leading customization that's being provided by IMB Raceware. We also want to thank Greenman Gaming. Go to their website for all your gaming gear. We can't forget Coach Dave Delta. If you ever need a setup on Assetto Corsa Competizione, Le Mans Ultimate iRacing, you name it, go to their website as well. If we have some fights for the GT3, we also can't thank Moza Racing enough. And of course, our beautiful partners at Motorsport UK. Also check out their website for more league racing in esports and sim racing as a whole. Andrew Rifton, the American, currently leading American in P7. Of course, Lily Armstrong also waving the American flag, but Andrew Riffer currently in P7, highest classed American then.
Absolutely, and still plenty of opportunity to continue. If you look behind you, the sun is starting to go down here on the wonderful 7-kilometer Spa-Francorchamps. So as they go down into Speaker's Corner, that probably has to get right in their eyes in the final 10 minutes. Charles Manceau, they're getting overtaken there by Andrew Reef. I believe, don't fully quote me on this, but I think I have a fact on why it's called Speaker's Corner. So back in the day when the commentary box was just before Eau Rouge and Radion, of course, the cars will go past the main straight. They'll go up into Eau Rouge and into the forest. And then the first time you'll be able to see the cars is through this corner right here. That is now called Speaker's Corner. So that is potentially why, I believe is why it's called that. I'll have to definitely do my route. This time or maybe the next race.
And of the facts here, Adam Reed, our beautiful co-commentator, providing us with beautiful insight here at Spa-Francorchamps. Now, just because everything is sort of dialed down, everything is in their own kind of zone. We use, like, if anyone's really in a no man's zone, so having a no man's land like Joey Darby isn't really, but for example, Ted Earth is, as we speak about the man where I'm going to be talking about, the John Dalton zone. So if you ever find yourself in no man's land, you are in the official John Dalton zone, as John Dalton is actually in a Dalton zone because he has absolutely no one around him and he's just driving his race currently, going to promote himself to P3 because our race leader Diego Catalan has just pitted for his final stop in this race. 35 minutes to go, track temperature is 21 degrees and GT3s and GT4s are still raging on at Spa-Francorchamps there. I saw Nicole Fox exiting pit lane there. John Dalton then still in P3 for the moment.
Absolutely, and I can confirm my facts are actually correct. When the kind of speaker's box or commentary box is there, it was in place. Yeah, it was the only corner of the circuit they could actually see apart from the what is in front of them. So there you go, fact checking live on the screen.
If you've ever been to Spa, Spa is a beautiful circuit. It's if you've never been to Spa, I must ask you to visit it once in your lifetime. It's a beautiful track. In the 2023 we had a little bit of mist, and what happens with the cloud cover, with the mist, because Spa-Francorchamps is in a pretty big valley surrounded by trees, the mist really lays down, and if you're at Eau Rouge you can almost see the whole circuit and how the clouds just sort of fill the valley of Spa-Francorchamps, where Spa-Francorchamps is laid in. And it's an amazing circuit and a must-see for every motorsport fan, and hopefully we'll have another successful Spa 24, and of course we will have I think we will have F1 as well this season. After that is going to be on rotation. But back to our racing then, at our Spa-Francorchamps, Diego Catalan has come out of pit lane as the highest GT3 that has completed their pit stop. This is John Dalton now approaching Mike Redford in the GT4 with 33 minutes and 33 seconds left in this race. Nico Kumpu also currently in P3, going to make his pit stop, is making his pit stop. So the highest classified GT3s will now be Engelhardt, John Dalton and Marco Badowski. All of those still need to make a pit stop. Basically the whole top 12 needs to make a pit stop still. Peter Lundqvist fallen down the order, having a really hard time here in P14 because he still needs to make a pit stop then. And currently again in P2, provisional P2, is John Dalton. And Diego Catalan still holds the fastest lap. Then Marco Badowski, when will he go to pit lane? Because he's currently P1. But when does he go in pit lane? Because that is crucial. You could just find yourself in the lead when he makes his pit stop, because there isn't long left, 32 minutes to go on this Spa-Francorchamps pit stop. Everyone has had one pit stop. A lot of drivers still need to make their last pit stop. Marco Badowski again just driving around Spa in clean air, which is very important. No GT4s really ahead of him, except for the 8576, can't really see it. Nico Kumpu coming out of pit lane now. Diego Catalan, where is Diego Catalan? There is Diego Catalan overtaking Nico Kumpu. And so I'm quite certain, Adam, Diego Catalan will get the lead of this race back again.
Yeah, never say never, but Nico Kumpu has got a big lead to try it. Well, got a big gap to try and overhaul 3 seconds, and he would have taken a bit of lighter fuel compared to Diego Catalan. So it all depends on the freshness of the tyres, which should be in the advantage. Be down to the fuel management and the fuel levels for both drivers, and that's the thing we don't know at this moment in time, which driver has got the lower fuel levels. You just see that Nico Kumpu is trying to just get the trying to get the tyres up to temperature, and that's where he's losing about half a second in the first sector. But yeah, you're going to be coming upon a couple of GT4s in about maybe three laps. So just keep an eye on that for now, because this could be an absolute critical race decider.
If you've never been on our Twitch channel, trust me, we have one. And for our Twitch viewers who haven't been to our YouTube channel, we of course have a YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to either the Twitch channel or the YouTube channel, it takes 30 seconds. Please make sure you do subscribe to our channels. It would help us out a lot as RCI. And also, just over a month ago, our social media got active again, so now we're putting out highlights from every race we get in the week. Highlights from our Le Mans Ultimate Championship. From this race you will see highlights as well. Be sure to make those check those out. And of course we will feed you more info about upcoming seasons, about upcoming championship as well, which is very important if you want to race with us. Martin Loreng in P19 overall, currently having the lead of this race in the GT4 category.
Yes, and he's had a pretty simple race so far, but it, of course, not been easy. He still had to really fight it for it, and Loreng has done such a marvellous job, and he's just trying to maintain that gap to Mike Redford, and I think that gap is in fact extended. As you see there, 8 seconds, so he's managed to find some really good time over the last couple of moments, but he's still got a pit stop remaining, so Mike Redford has been very much trying to still potentially have an opportunity, but at what point do you do it? Do you do it do you make that pit stop now and just try and get Loreng to just stay out? But there's still plenty of ways you can play this one, but I think for Redford he's just got to make that last stop now if it does allow him, but it doesn't look like he's coming in there in the background. I spotted. Just
like I said at the beginning of this race, it's really a game of chess. And the chess game is slowly coming to an end here at Spa-Francorchamps. Already for the GT3s, later on for the GT4s, because almost all of the GT4s still need to make their pit stop, except for Emma Plata in the 71 GT4. But I wonder if you will get traffic along the way. Richard Whittle then still not not needing another pit stop was what I'm trying to say. Richard Whittle, the Englishman, just gotten overtaken there by Nicole Fox. This then Tom Watts as the other silver driver. Riff has made his final pit stop in the silver category. And it's Les Stevenson who is making their pit stop as we speak, but I'm expecting that Riff will take over that silver lead here at Spa-Francorchamps. 40 car field on the grid. It's not properly English. What I was trying to say, we have 40 cars on the grid here today, so 40 car field here at Spa-Francorchamps. And Richard Whittle is one of them as he is trying to chase down Nico Fox for P16 overall in this race.
And we now move on towards starting to become the latter stages of this race. Again, the sun starts to get a little bit lower and lower, so we shouldn't really be going into night time. Remember, we still have 26 minutes remaining of this race, and we still keep on board here with Richard Whittle in what seems to be the Ferrari, so in the GT3. So I think Richard very much doing pretty well in the GT in the split 2 category. So he is push on and trying to get whatever he can. 17's not too bad. He's made his last stop as well, and is behind Nicole Fox, so potentially look out for this battle as well. But someone who I need to report, I feel, is Les Stevenson up there in P12 there, and with Peter Lundqvist still needing to make a stop, as he is 16 seconds behind Hansel, but a little bit behind Lily Armstrong. But you know, those guys have been he's been doing really well, and you know, you can't really fault for what he does, especially being a split 2 driver. As Jake Howley is now behind split 2 driver Tom Watts.
Indeed, Tom Watts needing to fend off a pro driver, which is easier said than done. Jake Howling trying to go for the inside and then having a little bit of a look, trying to scare Watts on the pressure, but keeping his composure does the 42 Aston Martin. See if Jake Howling can get past, but it's Spa-Francorchamps, and even though it's a wide circuit, it has a lot of fast corners, and you really need to bounce on the exit of every corner. Do you want to make a move into the next one? For example, this one out of a double car as you approach then left far, and if you can't get a good exit out of it, you can't really make a move into campus. And the same counts for Stavelot. Stavelot, of course, very risky in these cars, not very easy. In GT4s it's definitely not flat. The GT3s, at least the last time when I played it, you can go flat with the right setup. Very important with the right setup. So, but Jake Howling currently still in P15, has to slipstream them towards the bus stop. Maybe a late braking move is in store for the British driver. Not so far. Oh well, Aston Martin has gone wide. Can Jake Howling capitalize? Can he then overtake Watts on the outside? Then needs to do it. Has to slipstream. Has to slipstream for La Source. Then on the inside, Jake Howling, the German driver, does go for the move. Finally, can he overtake Watts for P14? And he can. Tom Watts showing really no sign of trying to keep that P14 especially when Howling is just beside him, as this is Martin Foster in his McLaren, trying to move up a place of Spoda Skrillex currently on the outside. Little bit of a touch there by Spoda Skrillex, but they all make it out alive so far.
And they're just very, very lucky there at this moment in time. see Martin Foster really trying to push on and see if we could potentially steal another point there of Spoda Skrillex. John Dalton into the pit lane, the only one in at the top 8 to need to make a stop. It's only him and Lundqvist remaining. So where will John Dalton fall down? Because of course he's going to be able to take it there by Diego Catalan. He'll be overtaken by Kumpul, Badowski and Engelhardt. Might actually end up ahead of Tom Shipson into PB5. So serious stuff there for John Dalton, especially if his pace is be positive. You never know where it can be in relation to Badowski. So we're going to get an idea in terms of the relation there with Diego Catalan. But yeah, that'll be a simple through he goes. Nico Kumpul will follow in pursuit. Nico Kumpul is not quite being able to latch on there to Diego Catalan, Dalton, and looks like Badowski will go on through as well. Engelhardt. It looks like John Dalton will be ahead of Engelhardt. So I think Niels Engelhardt from pole position just has no race pace, it seems like tonight.
It's I am afraid, and it's a shame, but you know, it's the harsh truth of racing. Sometimes you do have the pace, and sometimes you do not. But you know, you have to make the best of it, and currently he is trying to do so. 21 minutes left, and for anyone to make any gains as the race has dialed in, sort of. Now I see, Adam, a lot of campers. Now I've been to Spa, and when the Spa 24 hours is there, it's absolutely filled. Like on every piece where you can get a camper in, where you get a caravan in, there is a caravan, and especially at the hairpin then. Let me look up where it is because I always forget, especially at Bruxelles and Speakers Corners. There are a lot of caravans. A lot of people sleep through the noise. It's amazing how they do it. Nicole Fox currently in P16 trying to overtake Watts as well. Watts not making her life so easy. He's on the inside and eventually letting her go. My question is for Adam. Could you filter out the noise of roaring GT3s flying past your camper?
That would probably be my yeah, that'd probably be my my night sound, of course.
Your white noise.
Yeah, that'll be my white noise thing. We all get to sleep in different ways. Some just kind of just flop on the bed and go for it, and then some people need a little bit of white noise. And I think for me, this would be absolutely perfect as long as it's not absolutely rattling on my caravan. I think I'll be absolutely fine. I'll be loving it.
Marcus Honsel then driving in Spa in a roaring BMW GT3, currently in P10 overall. He will, Peter Lundqvist there, it is still in P9, he still needs to pit. But when will he pit? But they will in any case promote P10 to P9. This is Raphael Hull in P23 trying to overtake Mike Redford. So Hull has found a little bit of pace in that Porsche GT4 then. Us is behind. Behind that is Wilkinson. Emma Plata has overtaken Mike Redford, actually, something we haven't seen. Mike Redford, oh, going wide there. The GT4 is getting pushed off by a GT3. Does that allow Raphael Hull for an overtaking opportunity? It could. They're on the outside of the bus stop. We've seen it before, but Mike Redford, can he get the traction down? He does get the traction down, and so Raphael Hull needs to wait even longer to maybe battle for a podium spot. Because Martin Lorenk will, I think, retain the lead, but I'm not so sure about Joey Darber. So your provisional leader currently is Martin Lorenk, followed by P2, Ammo Plate, followed by Mike Redford. But this can still change. We have had a penalty for the 44. 5-second penalty is added for the 44, which is Foster in the McLaren. But Mike Redford trying to chase it down what possibly could be the leader in this race. Emma Plata has had a good strategy then. And in front of Emma Plata, that is not Joey Darber, but it is a different GT4. It is an Alpine GT4, the only Alpine GT4. That is Furby, 33rd position overall, and he needs to get out of the way of these GT4s, and he does so. And so he slots down behind this group for the final podium positions.
Yeah, and you can see this group is constantly all going at it, and Emma Platter, they're down in P3. Mike Redford will be wanting to take this as Joey Darber now into the pit lane. Martin Lorenk will continue on, and this is Mike Redford's opportunity to now potentially try and find a way through it. I can't remember which driver I said at the moment. I think my mind just blanked out there. But yeah, Mike Redford still trying to find a way through on Emo Plata, but we know how good the Dutch driver has been. He's kind of been a silent killer at this last hour over the course of the race. He's been up there, but you have no idea where he's going to finish. And B and P3 at this moment in time is a solid result. Just trying to keep an eye here on where Joe Dorber is, because he is currently in the pit lane. He's now managing to make his way into the secondary pit lane. And now look at that, gaining from the McLaren Artura of Mike Redford. He's there, he's on the outside, he found the momentum. Oh, he's going to try and go around the outside. Oh, he's knocked into Plata. He's gone into the Ginetta, and he flies on through and snaps the tyre barrier. That was absolutely massive from the Ginetta, and I wonder if Redford is going to get a penalty for that. Joe Darber now about to head out onto the racetrack, but this, the replay here, I mean, I think that might be down to a racing incident. Unfortunately, my screen just slightly froze there, slightly, but it just seemed like they came into the middle there. You know, Redford was there on the outside, Plata was on the inside, and they just kind of met in the middle.
Very bumpy collision physics there by ACC, you know. Yeah, I mean, it's always difficult to say. It's one for the stewards to decide. Luckily, I definitely couldn't. As Joey Darber is in the lead. Is he? No, he's not in the lead. That's just the timing. But I was already thinking he pitted, I know, but then it turned to green, indicating his pit stop is finished, and he was still in front of Hull, in front of Redford. I'm very curious where Martin Lorenk will end up. Martin Lorenk will most definitely be in the lead. He's currently, this is Rafael Hull, just in front of that is Redford, and there is no way, unless I'm really throwing a curse at them, but there is no way Martin Lorenk will lose that lead, and that means that Rafael Hull will claim a third spot, maybe after 15 minutes, but we still have 15 minutes to go, so there can still a lot happen, especially in our RCI Mini Bridges GT season.
And there goes Martin Foster. Let's go and have a look at there at Richard Phillips, but it doesn't seem like he'll be able to get past Aston Martin in the GT4 split there, it seemed like, and it looks like Richard Phillips has not been doing too bad this season. A couple of points here and there, but nothing too spectacular to of course note down. But you know, when you're just sitting there, 29th overall, maybe just on the fringes of the top 10, you're not doing too bad. Just picking up an extra couple of points. Of course, Reese Wilkinson, as points will count toward the split 2 category. You can see they're diving up the inside with one of the Porsches, just steaming on through there. And I believe that's Niels Engelhardt, who is looking at fighting for a podium spot there, just trying to wriggle his way through. But yeah, a lot of the drivers, I think, will walk away with some very, very fine results here. And there is Martin Lorenk now. Mike Redford will continue down the hill. He's just exiting Eau Rouge now. And look at that. This is absolutely mighty from Martin Lorenk. And he'll exit the pit lane. He'll still have to get the tyres up to temperature. But that should take about a lap or so. So I think the gap will be about 4 seconds, but of course we will get an idea once we cross into one of our timing beams.
Indeed we will, but Martin Lorenk being dominant currently in P19 overall, P1 in the GT4 category. He's just been dominant all season long. I have no idea how he does it. I have no idea how he doesn't take pole position with having such a big margin of speed. Maybe he does it on purpose, maybe he doesn't, but it's absolutely incredible the speed Martin Lauren can just take in the race. I mean, he's more than, oh, he's just not 50 points clear of Joey Darber in P2. Will Stevenson is in P3 overall after the first race then, but Raphael Hull trying, he's by the way P12 in the standings currently, Raphael Hull. And he's doing really well this race. Emma Plata, P9. He could have had the chance of a really beautiful result. I mean, he still has the chance on a good result. P4 is still a good result, but it's going to be a bit sour because, you know, he could have had P2. Raphael Hull trying to overtake Mike Redford, trying to squeeze in a little bit of more points then for this championship round. In this championship round, currently still in P3 though.
Yes, and now Raphael Hull will now get a potential slipstream here. A bit of a toe down to Blanchimont he goes, but he's time to edge away from the McLaren Artura. I think that that McLaren 95 is in a solid position, but now Raphael Hull will come around the outside and he'll see if he can potentially be later on the brakes. The lean green and white machine. Try that outside line, he'll squeeze himself on that inside. I think he's got to back off on that one because the Nova just sitting there, and if he was staying on that inside line, that would have been a knock and around the McLaren. I think that would have been a penalty incoming for Raphael Hull. So the patience here as he climbs his way now up down the hill and then up towards Eau and Radion, but it's the main overtaking opportunity, and if he wants to do anything, he'll have to do it now.
Peter Lundqvist finally coming in for his last and final stop, and so he will fall down the order, I think even behind those GT4s. Yes, indeed, the 999 999 will come out of pit lane behind these GT4s. It is then again this battle that keeps raging on. This is Joey Darber trying to overtake Emo Plata. Does his race go from bad to worse for Emo Plata? Currently in P22, overall P4 in GT4, but Joey Darber goes through at the Camel Straight and overtakes a Dutch driver then even before the corner. I must think that Emo Plata has a lot of damage on the Ginetta given the straight line speed he is losing compared to that fellow Ginetta in P24. That is. He will definitely overtake Emo Plata. Where then is Richard Wilkinson? Oh, that's almost contact between both Ginettas. That was incredibly close there. Then a race replay for that incident. This is Emo Plata. Oh, very close between of that right front and the left rear of Emo Plata, and this is Raphael Hull who has been longing for that second spot in the GT4 category, but maybe, just maybe, Mike Redford can hold on. But look at that Porsche having good straight line speed, having a good traction, and Raphael Hull is definitely confident in that Cayman GT4.
Sure, and that was Ted Ers in that one, and you just saw the face in the car, and I was like, oh, this is a scary sight, but unfortunately going wide. There. Raphael Hull still in the back there of Mike Redford. He will hate seeing the rear of that black McLaren Artura. Get any form of exit he possibly can. Seem to be complying. I don't know if the tyres are starting to go there on the number 21 Porsche Cayman. I think that will be a good take there for Raphael Hull, but the pace for the German driver has definitely improved a lot over the course of the last couple of rounds. He's in the midway stage of this British GT Championship. For sure, we've had some superb results from all of our drivers. Struggles there to get up Eau Rouge and Radion. It's just a little bit here, a little bit there, taking give on that gap to Redford. gap is starting to, the sunset now already starts to come down here, and in toward the pits comes Aaron Jackson. Oh, that was a bit of a slide there, but he's already had one of his mandatory stops, so he's now taking a drive through, and this is probably the reason why. Down toward the bus up chicane, there was Jarman So who hit the right.
Oh my God!
So very, very lucky boy there was Aaron Jackson.
I was very lucky indeed. I just had word from the stewards. We just had a unfortunate racing incident for the 95 and the 71. So the incident we saw between Emo Plata and Mike Redford has been noted, and a decision has been made by the stewards, and the decision is a racing incident. So no penalties for that incident. Richard Wiffle then in P17, currently in P4 in silver class, trying to chase down Tom Watts for the final podium spot in the silver class. Then can he do it just before Rouge? No, he definitely can't do it before Rouge. Can he do it after? On the camel straight, that Ferrari definitely has a toe, but how big will that toe be? Will it be enough? It's, I guess, 4 tenths behind. That's probably too much for Richard Wiffle if he ever would want to overtake Tom Watts for P16. And I'm telling you what, it's Jordan Daly who crashed at Eau Rouge, who's currently finding himself back in P50. Now I don't know if he has had damage from that crash or not. It probably doesn't matter, because he has fought his way up all the way to P15, which is very impressive there, overtaking the silver class drives, and maybe he can have a sniff at that Porsche of Nicole Fox.
Still a couple of more opportunities left in this race, and it's all about kind of management of this race. You know, you've done the majority, you've done the bulk of your race. You get a replay here of Niels Engelhardt. He made contact here with Aaron Jackson. Ah, yes, a slight bit of contact there from the Porsche to the Mercedes. That was just a bit of a squeeze there from Niels Engelhardt. Niels Engelhardt there, just running in the top 5. He's in a solitary position, but Richard Whittle still looking to pass Tom Watson. I don't think this is going to be over and done with very quickly here, but Whittle is going to have to battle for this very, very hard hit into Blanchard when they go.
See what this then will be, what this could unfold, this little battle. There is no battle for P1 sadly anymore, but there is a battle for the podium spot then in the silver class, as they need to lap those GT4s, because there are GT4s scattered all around the track. We have a 199 in the pit lane. Who that is, I'm not quite sure, but he probably, that is indeed Matt Malcolm, and Matt Malcolm has long retired from this race. Martin Loring then still in P19 overall, P1 for the GT4s, and we have now 5 minutes to go in this 1 hour and 30 minutes race here. Track temperature is 20 degrees, so it has cooled down, and the sun also goes down, which I've been lucky to experience at Spa, and well, it's one of the many beautiful things here at Circuit Sundown. Then Raphael Hill still trying to overtake Mike Redford, can't seem to do it just yet. Oh, Joey Darby, I ask myself, he's 19 seconds behind. Joey Darby nowhere near these couple of drivers. There is a GT4 just in front of them. There's another McLaren. That must be the McLaren of Foster, that is, the 44. In the lime livery, letting those GT4s go. Yes, he does. And I thought I saw just a little different number there on that McLaren instead of 44. But Raphael Hull anyway has passed that McLaren and is chasing down Mike Redford once again.
He is indeed, and they'll climb up the hill of the well, I actually don't have a lap counter, so plenty of times they've done this already. So Mike Redford's still having to be defensive on Raphael Hull, but think the opportunity is there. I think it's starting to fade there for I don't know if it's just down to tyre life, push the car too much, or he might be satisfied with the P3 position, just knowing the fortunes that he's had over the course, the opening part of this championship, especially where he's already had a non-points finish as well, and a DNF to his name. I think he may be happy with the P3 place to fire him up the championship standings. I think that he knows how good Redford has been, he knows how good Lorraine has been, and he just doesn't have to be contended, but we've got a Porsche there just trying to find his way through, and will very much be in just be a little bit of a cat in the a little bit of a bother to those GT4s. Now Redford goes a little bit wide, and I think it's going to be a little bit slippery out on the right hand side there. Now we're seeing Shipson come through in his Lexus.
Still race day here at RCI, and we also have a livery competition for this mini British GT season. So you have a few choices. We, for example, have a battle between Gao Manso and Marco Butowski. We also have a battle between Les Stevenson and John Dalton. I wonder who's going to win that one. And we have a battle for Tom Shipson and Niels Engelhard, as we also battle for the final podium spot here in this race. Who's going to finish P3 and who is going to finish P2 then after 1 hour and 30 minutes of racing. We have 1 lap left for these GT4s, I'm quite certain of it. Raphael having a little look down the inside. Mike Redford not really getting his braking spot on, but defending the inside of the bus stop, and that is all he needs to defend from Raphael Hull so far. Raphael then maybe have a little look on the outside, deep on the brakes in, then can he maybe cut back, get a better exit to be ahead of Eau Rouge, having a little bit of a moment well, that won't cut it at him.
No, it won't. I don't think that will be it for. He's only got this one more opportunity in this race to be able to make it through. We look back at Nicole Fox and there's a big contact, and that is going to be Richard Whittle, who was looking to try and go past Tom Watt, it seemed like. Let's have a look at the Ferrari until Tom. Let's have this final lap of the. There was just a tap up the rear end there of Watts, and that has sent everyone careering off the road. And how unfortunate was that as well. Now look back there at Whittle. Massive disappointment there in the Ferrari, and nothing done there for Raphael Hull. The German driver has tried absolutely everything he possibly can. BMW contend of that GT4 battle. There may be that final opportunity, but it should be just easy pickings for what I believe is going to be Marcus Honsel going on through.
I think it was indeed drama at the end there then for a few positions here. Raphael Hull still trying to chase down the GT4 of Mike Redford, having a massive moment there, and that will halt his chase for the GT4 for the final spot. Is this Diego Catalan who will finish in P1 then? Yes, it is. Our championship leader finishes in P1 then, followed by Nico Kumpu. Marco Badowski after 1 hour and 30 minutes finishes P3. It's John Dalton who will finish in P4, followed by Engelhard, followed by Shipson in the Lexus. Getting a really good result in a lead American. Will he be our lead American? Most definitely, but can he retain that P8 then? Riffe to Honsel. It's Honsel deep on the brakes in the bus stop and outbrakes himself, needing to give that position back. Will he give that position back? Yes, he will. And does Marcus Honsel finish P9, and our lead American finishes in P8. Mike Redford taking P2 then. It's Hull taking P3 in your GT4 category. and it's Martin Lorenk who dominantly wins then in P19 overall, P1 in the GT4 category. River, of course, winner of your silver class here today. Les Stevenson retaining his championship lead, losing a bit to River, but still P2 is good enough to retain that championship lead. Les Stevenson over the line, P12 overall after 1 hour and 30 minutes, finishes in P12. It's going to be Howling that finishes in P13. Jordan Daly just overtook Nicole Fox, finishes in P14. Good recovery there. And this is Tom Watts getting P3 in your silver cup, in your silver trophy. Then the final spot on the podium is for the Englishman, and it's going to be Richard Whiffle. Last over the line, not last over the line, but in P17 overall anyway. We have still Richard Phillips, Foster and Spoda Skrillex who will cross the line, and then our race is kind of done as the smokes pop out and the cars are all over the track then, as we have Reese Wilkinson in P22. Nico Kumpu is your P2 of this race, not your winner. Diego Catalan is your winner of this race, as we head to the timetable. It's Catalan in P1, followed by Kumpu in P2. Marco Badowski rounds off your podium spots, followed by John Dalton in P4. Great race by him, driven in the John Dalton zone. And Niels Engelhardt, your pole sitter, doesn't take the victory here today. Tom Shipston in P6, as we have a little bit of an issue, but I'm sure we'll be back at the timetable very soon. But that was a spectacular race, Adam, truly spectacular. As we go ahead for the GT4s now, Adam, how are the GT4s lined up at the finish?
It's going to be Martin Lorenk who wins in that Chevrolet Camaro GT4.R ahead of Mike Redford, who takes another podium to his name. Who will take his first podium. And then comes Joe Dorber, who finishes in fourth. Then we find Ted Ers ahead of Emma Plata, with Reese Wilkinson, the third of the trio of Janetta. Here we find the BMW M4 of João Manso, the Portuguese driver, finishing home in eighth ahead of Richard Phillips, and Spoda Skrillex with Martin Foster in the McLaren in 11th, with Eric Ardneck. Davey with Thurbly, ahead of Aaron Jackson, Malcolm and Eddie and BMW, a couple of non-finishers of field. Our GT4 is going to end.
And those are the final standings. Then live stewarding is all kept up. If I believe I will have another look for you guys. Yes, indeed, live stewarding is all kept up. So those are the end of reports. We did have a 20-second time penalty for car 42, causing a multi-car incident, but that is all for today. We might have some interviews here today like we usually have, so see if we get those around. But Adam, again, it was a beautiful race, our last 1 hour and 30 minutes race of the season. I can't really look forward, well, I can't really not look forward to the next one, but a beautiful race at Spa. These are the highlights.
You are indeed. We'll have a look through the highlights, and this was the race start where we got going. And the first one to look at was Jordan Daly. It was so all the way back at the beginning. He was the one that kind of put himself on the curb. Was so lucky not to get a bigger whack to the side, and also that was Marcus Hondor getting involved. So we didn't really see that in close detail. So that's in fact the first time we're actually seeing that accident in full details, and unfortunately there for Jordan Daly, that kind of set him up for another run through field for the second weekend in a row. Super unfortunate for him, but he managed to claw it back. And also Spoda Skrillex is also involved as well, and that was the moment there for Diego Catalan in the early stages, just going a tad wide, but in the end it didn't even matter for him, as he went on to claim a big victory and go 4 wins in a row.
Did not indeed, and as our Spa race closes, we have some more races coming up for you, not this week, but in the coming weeks. We have much more especially in LMU. We have a lot of LMU competition starting. We have the 500 kilometers of Le Mans, which will take place at July 27th. Then the multi-sprint series season 2 in Le Mans Ultimate will the first round will take place at Monza, and it will take place on July the 11th. And then we have a one-off, again also in Le Mans Ultimate if I'm not mistaken, the Prototype Classic, and that will be driven at July the 19th. Then our next race is going to be at Snetterton, like we said in the beginning, as we still watch the rest of the highlights. A lot has happened here in this race. This is lap 4, Andrew Riff against Jake Howling, the 79 Porsche against the 621 Porsche. Beautiful overtake there by Riff. Yes, beautifully done. Jake Howling couldn't do anything against that, as we again watch these highlights, finish these highlights, as we have Martin Lorenk in the booth. Martin Lorenk, I have a question for you.
Hello.
First of all, congrats on your P1 yet again, but what is it with you and qualifying? Tell me about it.
I don't know, but honestly, I have no idea because this is happening since my youth, like since I am like 8 years old in go-karting. Whenever I was like racing, it was Italy, Czech Republic, Germany. It doesn't really matter. All those years I struggled with the qualies for whatever reason. I guess it's because like I am usually tending to set up the kart more for the race. I don't really care too much about the quali. Just need the race to be on point. So yeah, I'm just so weak in the qualies. I don't know why. I have no clue.
Even though you're disappointed qualifying, you won again, like you did last time. How is it? It must be a fun race, though, just going to, overtaking everyone to the back.
It's fun for sure. I have like no clue why guys lost some pace. I guess there was some bonks with the GT3s, but I was way quicker in the race than I anticipated, and they were a little bit slower than I anticipated as well. No clue why. Because when I was practicing, I saw them like doing very, very quick times.
Very interesting. Well, maybe you have a little bit of more competition in the next round at Saturn, of course. I'm going to pass you over to my co-commentator, Adam. Do you have any questions for our GT4 race winner?
Just kind of wanted to first of all say congratulations, Martin. It was a
Thank
fantastic
you.
result for you. Of course, Spa being such a difficult track, how are you kind of keeping yourself with the mentality to just go lap after lap? Because you might find yourself in stages where it's just so tough to kind of push through at some points.
Yeah, I was tired a little bit because the grid was a little bit spread out, and there was a point where no GT3s were like passing me by, so I was like, and I a little bit lost focus and grilled the tires a bit, so that was like unpleasant because guys were catching me really quickly. Then I swapped the tires for the last few minutes. It was just good again. It was great. Actually, Camaro again. It like the rear raced up and everything was fine. But on the start with like tank for like 50 minutes is just that's so brick-like behavior. It's just not doing anything correctly except going through the rouge and not dying. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun. Oh, it's always fun here to race and with the multi-class thing altogether.
And of course, taking this into further rounds, you know, you're on a fantastic streak. How do you think this is going to keep up, especially with Snetterton next week?
We'll see, because well, not everyone is a fan of Snetterton. I don't mind it. I loved it with the M6, but hey, I have a bigger brick this time, so it should be fine. Also, I think I like been Jandier there a few years ago. That is my last memory of a Camaro there. So yeah, definitely, I'm gonna try to survive it and win it again. Obviously, we'll see how it goes. Guys are very
Martin,
quick, so yeah, anything can happen.
apologies. Yeah, sorry for butting it in. But congratulations, an absolutely awesome.
Just before you go, Martin, is there anyone at home you want to give a shout out at?
Everyone, well, to everyone, to you guys for the awesome job on
Aw.
commentating the RCI as a whole, the RCI esports team, obviously, because I'm racing under them, and all my teammates, all my friends who are watching and supporting it, that I'm spending my nights with a wheel.
Well, thank you so much, Martin. We'll hopefully see you at Snetterton, and let's see if you can win again in that one race. Good luck to you.
Thank you, and hopefully see you again.
Bye.
Sure you will.
Well, that was our first and also our final interview here of today. Before we close off, I have to thank our beautiful partners, Greenman Gaming, of course, Coach Safe Delta, IMB Racer, Motorsport UK, and don't be afraid to check out all of the amazing sim racing equipment Mozart provides as well. We look forward to Snetterton, our 5th round of the season, which also marks the halfway point as we close Spa off. Again, thank you for watching. We will be back at Snetterton for the 5th round in our championship. We look forward to it again. My name is Daan van Zutphen. I thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and perhaps subscribe to RCI. Again, a thank you from everyone at RCI, and we can't wait to see you at July the 7th at Snetterton. Until then.
You ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Get behind the wheel, let's go. Grip the road, feel the flow. Thunder roaring, steel alive. Live this dream and drive. Tires burning with gasoline. Push the limits, chasing green. One shot, don't slow. Go on, we'll take control. Engines scream alive tonight. Blazing past the red line. Outrun the night, won't lose this fight. Follow the road, red line for show. We're chasing taillights, don't let go. Under the stars, we'll go so far. This is who we are. Chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. We're chasing taillights. The miles they fade, but they don't die. Faster now, the hours fly by. Sweat and gears, hearts in sync. On the edge, on the brink. Clock ticks down, stakes are high. One mistake, we kiss goodbye. Don't slow down, we're not done. Finish line for the strong ones. Engines scream alive.